Impuratus is a suspense and psychological horror film that delves into the supernatural, with a dense, layered narrative. Directed by Michael Yurinko, the film weaves together mystery, faith, and the breakdown of rational certainty. The central storyline revolves around a demonic possession and a police investigation, taking the audience on a journey that challenges the boundaries between the real and the imaginary. The strong performances, particularly by Tom Sizemore as Detective James Templeton, play a vital role in immersing the audience in the building tension. Throughout the film, viewers are led through a terrifying experience that addresses existential questions about the nature of evil, the fragility of the human mind, and the ongoing struggle between reason and belief in the inexplicable. While the film follows a seemingly straightforward plot, it introduces emotional and philosophical layers that challenge the audience's expectations, delivering more than a simple supernatural horror flick. The setting of the film, located in the 1950s, plays a significant role in the narrative. It takes the viewer back to a time when scientific skepticism was on the rise, yet traditional spiritual beliefs and superstitions still held sway. The atmosphere is thick with dread, reflected in the dark, eerie settings and the psychiatric hospital where much of the action unfolds. Every detail of the location contributes to an unsettling, enigmatic atmosphere, from the flickering lights to the disturbing silence that haunts the hallways. The psychiatric hospital and Templeton's call. In the opening scenes, we are introduced to the protagonist, James Templeton, a Philadelphia detective who receives an unexpected call to visit a local psychiatric hospital. The urgency in the request piques Templeton's curiosity, especially as he's asked to interrogate a patient on the verge of death. The narrative begins with subtle emotional undertones, but with evident tension. Templeton, weary and seemingly exhausted by life's pressures and his demanding job, hints at a troubled past, something the audience gradually uncovers as the film progresses. The psychiatric hospital is depicted as haunting and unnerving. The building's architecture seems aged and eroded by time, and the corridors stretch out endlessly, suffocatingly. The production design masterfully creates a claustrophobic, isolated atmosphere, as if the hospital exists in a void between reality and purgatory. This setting serves as a visual metaphor for Templeton's emotional and mental state, which, like the hospital, is in a state of decay. Upon arrival, Templeton is led to the bedside of Daniel Glassman, a frail, dying man who looks on the brink of death. Glassman, with a weak voice and deeply disturbed eyes, pleads to tell his story before it's too late. From this point, the plot begins to unfold, and Templeton, initially skeptical, becomes increasingly drawn into the narrative Glassman reveals. Glassman's story, The Curse of Impuratus. Glassman reveals that he has been tormented by a malevolent entity known as Impuratus. Since his youth, he has been the victim of a demonic possession that ruined his life and destroyed his family. The spirit, or demon, that haunts him seems to have a special obsession with him, and the supernatural events surrounding him are terrifying. Early in his life, Glassman was an ordinary man with no major aspirations or worries beyond those of a normal person. However, everything changed after a specific incident, which he claims was the first manifestation of Impuratus. He describes how a massive shadow, something inhuman, began appearing to him, first in his dreams, then in his waking life. From that moment, his existence took a terrifying turn. Glassman's descriptions are vivid and detailed, and the audience is treated to harrowing flashbacks of the events from his past. In these moments, we witness possession scenes, where Glassman, against his will, starts committing acts of violence. He gradually loses control of his actions, and the visions of Impuratus become more frequent and horrifying. In one of the most shocking scenes, we see Glassman trying to fight against the demonic influence while his loved ones are attacked, resulting in brutal, tragic deaths. Impuratus is not a typical demon. According to Glassman, it is an ancient and malevolent force with roots that go back to time immemorial. The connection between him and the entity is much deeper than he initially believed. Over time, Glassman learns that his family is cursed, with the possession passed down through generations, and he is just the latest in a long line of victims. This revelation adds an even darker tone to the story, bringing up themes of destiny, guilt, and the inescapable nature of one's past. Templeton's conflict, faith versus rationality. With every word Glassman speaks, we see Templeton, the skeptical detective, trying to find some rational explanation for what he's hearing. To him, the stories of possession and curses seem absurd, the result of a mind tormented by guilt or madness. However, as the story progresses, Templeton begins to experience inexplicable events himself. Doors slam shut on their own, whispers echo throughout the hospital, and strange distortions in time and space lead Templeton to reconsider his beliefs. Here, the film brings into play the eternal conflict between faith and science, between belief in the supernatural and trust in rationality. Templeton, a practical man who has always relied on facts and evidence, starts to doubt himself. He is forced to confront the fact that there are things beyond his understanding, things that defy the laws of nature and logic. His emotional journey is one of the film's highlights, as we witness the transformation of a skeptic into someone who must accept the impossible. This inner conflict is amplified by the presence of the hospital, which almost acts as a reflection of the battle going on inside Templeton. The hospital, with its labyrinthine architecture and oppressive atmosphere, serves as a character in itself, keeping Templeton trapped in a reality where the supernatural can no longer be ignored. The symbolism is clear. Just as Templeton is lost in the hospital's corridors, he is also lost within his own beliefs, the expanding threat of the entity. As Glassman's story becomes more intense, Templeton begins to realize that the entity, Impuratus, is not confined to just one person or place. It has the ability to expand, manifesting wherever there is suffering and fear. This detail makes the film even more threatening, as it implies that no one is truly safe. This is not just about individual possession. It's a much larger force, capable of spreading chaos and destruction wherever it goes. In the film's climactic moments, there is a shocking revelation that connects Glassman's fate to Templeton's. The curse of Impuratus was planted in Glassman's family long ago, but there is something about Templeton that also attracts the demon's attention. It's as if Templeton himself is part of a larger, supernatural plan, just another pawn in a game that extends far beyond his comprehension. This twist raises the stakes significantly, placing Templeton in a position of vulnerability and urgency. The climax and final confrontation. As the film builds toward its climax, the tension reaches unbearable levels. Templeton, now fully immersed in Glassman's supernatural reality, finds himself in a direct confrontation with Impuratus. The detective, who once clung to his rational beliefs, now fights for survival against an entity far beyond his understanding. The final battle is visually stunning, with special effects that bring the demon's horrifying form to life. The climax of the film is both action-packed and emotionally charged. Templeton is not just fighting a demon, he's battling his own past, his inability to come to terms with his wife's death, and the existential void that has consumed him for years. The struggle becomes symbolic, representing not only the fight between good and evil, but also the fight for redemption and acceptance of the inexplicable. When the entity is finally confronted, the film leaves many questions unanswered. Although there is an ending, there is no sense of complete closure. This is intentional, as the film wants the audience to reflect on the nature of evil and the supernatural. What is real? What is imagined? How far can we trust our own perception of reality? Conclusion: a film that stays with you. Impuratus is a film that lingers in the mind long after the credits roll. It's not just a story about horror. It's a meditation on belief, fear, and the unknown. The performances are convincing, especially Tom Sizemore's portrayal of Templeton, which adds a rare emotional depth to the character. The film invites the viewer to embark on an uncomfortable journey where the unknown constantly lurks, and the fear of what we cannot understand becomes an ever-present shadow. With its suffocating atmosphere, intelligent script, and deep themes, Impuratus delivers a haunting cinematic experience. It's not just a movie you watch, it's a movie that stays with you, making you ponder the fine line between reality and the supernatural. Thanks for watching this deep dive into today's film. If you enjoyed the recap and want to stay updated on more quick, yet detailed breakdowns of your favorite movies, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Also, feel free to leave a comment below. What did you think of the film? We'd love to hear your thoughts. See you in the next one.